Hello and welcome, my name's Sam and this is The Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you for joining me for the first card of the week. And our stamp set this week is going to be the Ice Cream Swirl. It has 12 stamps in total, of 5 of which are sentiments. So we've got Make a Wish, thanks for everything, and hope your day is sweet, plus yum yum down here on the bottom. So, as usual, I have stamped out our stamps so I get a feel of them and what they're going to look like on the paper. But also today I have included the cutouts. I have cut out the 10 dies that come with the stamp set. Let me just move that along just a little bit. There we go, you've got a better view of it. So this is actually 2 dies in total. So you get this entire cutout of the ice cream cone with a line just across here so the cone folds in half, and then you've got this die which you lay with the actual cone to give you this effect, or if you don't want the effect and you just want to use this stamp rather than the die, then you can take that out. So that's 2 stamps, and again this is 2 stamps as well, dies as well. So you get, this is like a hollow outline which gives you the head of the ice cream, should I say, and then you've got this other detail piece which layers over and can give you like the ice cream swirls or the different flavorings and so on. So that's 4, and you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this one is actually 1 die, which is this one here, and it cuts out all of these pieces all in one foul swoop, so it makes life so much easier. So we've got the cherry, the donut, the strawberry, the chocolate cone or the chocolate flake, and if you don't want a cone, then you've got your basket or your tub, whichever you prefer. So today's card is this one, and as you can see, there is not a single ice cream in sight. But we're focusing on a box of donuts. Now for me, I'm quite happy with your jam donut, but my daughter absolutely loves these crispy Kreme donuts with all the flavorings, and for me, all the E numbers. Thankfully, she's an adult, so I don't have to worry about that. But this donuts here, we have got, I'm not quite sure if you can see, but we've got a bit of oh, there we go, a wink of Stella there. We've got some chocolate drops here, and I've put a few gems up here just to give the donuts a little bit of texture. So let me bring in the supplies and we can get ahead with our card. So lots of things. So there we are, actually going to use this to cut out our chocolate. I have a piece of cardstock which measures, so this is the 3.5 by 5 1/4. That will be our inside layer. I have a piece of self-adhesive paper which we're going to layer onto the early espresso so we can make our chocolate sprinkles. I've got myself some designer series paper, which is the designer series paper that came with, or could be purchased as a part of the bundle with the bumblebee. So you can see they've got the flowers there, but I'm actually going to focus on the stripes here. I believe this is still in stock should you wish to get it. It's in the discount layer, but obviously things are going very fast, so it may, if you decide you want the paper, have already gone, but I'm hoping that you will have some designer series paper in your stack that will do as well if you can't get this. So I'm going to, we've got a card base, should I say, that measures 8 inches by the 5 3/4, and we'll measure fold that at 4 inches. I have then got a piece of Poppy Parade which I'm going to cut down with you, and then I have a 5 inches by 3 3/4 inch of white card base which I'm going to cut out using the, and I always forget the names, the scalloped contour die, and this will give me the effect of my donut box. So bear with me while we cut it out. So I've got this out. Let's push that down. There we go. And now we can stamp our donuts on. So I've got the donut stamp, and I'm using the pecan pie because I felt that gave me the more realistic look of a donut than the early espresso would have done. So just going to stamp that, and then let's bring that down a bit, just a corner. Okay, so I'm going to put one down bottom left hand corner, move it over as far as I possibly can. I'm trying to keep within the dotted lines that are here, but with a gap up between there. So let's go. There we go. I'm going to turn that around and then do exactly the same on there, on there, and on there. And then I'm going to do the two in the middle. So we're going to do it this way, shall we? Makes life easier. On there. And then on there. Okay, so we're going to quickly colour those in. Now the blend pens that I am using, I have the dark Daffodil Delight for my custard donuts, and I have the dark Calypso Coral for your normal donuts, if you see what I mean. So let's go. And just now obviously you can colour this all the way through or just have icing in alternative layers. So and because this is just a plain donut, I'm not going to worry too much about using the light Calypso Coral and blending. I'm just going straight for the dark one. Okay, so just bear with me for a second and we will come back. Okay, so I'm bringing that back in. I really don't like colouring in on camera. It just seems to take too long. You don't need to see me colouring in. Everybody knows roughly how to colour in, I am sure. Okay, so the only thing we need to do now is I'm going to have my normal glazed donuts, and I'm going to use the Wink of Stella. So I'm just going to run my Wink of Stella over my donuts. Now the Wink of Stella for me is something I always seem to forget to use, but yet it is one of the most fantastic tools in our what do we call it, our arsenal, I suppose. It just adds that little bit of glitter, or in this case glaze, and just adds an extra dimension to our cards. So I love the Wink of Stella. I just should use it more. Now if I hold the card there, hopefully you can just see on the donuts the glaze there sparkling. Perfect. So the next thing to do now is to bring in our, I'm just going to pop that over there, early espresso, our self-adhesive sheet, and our chocolate drops. So this measures roughly 1 inch by 2.5. So I'm just going to cut myself off a strip. Oh, let's bring that in. So it's 1 inch. There we go. By about 2.5. So that's our early espresso, and I'm going to do the same for our sheet of self-adhesive. So just a hair's breadth under 1 inch, because it doesn't need to go all the way along, and just a hair's breadth under 2.5. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to peel the backing off of my self-adhesive sheet. For some reason I always make this look a lot harder than it really is. Now if you find you're having problems with it, not doing as it is. I find that if you just wrinkle the corner, you should then be able to, she says, oh come on, you can do this. There we go. Yay, we've done it. Okay, so one side will be sticky, which is the top, and the bottom side can just pull off. You can then lay that onto your early espresso like so. Okay, and then what we'll do is we will layer that like that, pop that on the top, and then we'll take that to our cutting machine like that, run it through, and we'll come back in a second. Okay, there we go. So I've run it through. You can see the imprints on the base of that. So I'm just going to pull off my die, and you can poke these through like so. Get my pointy tool out. There we have got those. That can be thrown away. Now we have glue on all of these dots, so it just makes life easier to stick them onto the donuts. Well, that's my thinking, as long as they play ball, but I do find it easier. Okay, so let's bring our donuts in. So these are going to go on our yellow custard donuts, so they will now be custard and chocolate. So just peel off the back, and then you can just add your chocolate as you wish. Pin it over. Get on the pointy tool. There we go. So let's do that. And we can get them. Add a few more. Okay. I have to say I love this die set and stamps, and when the catalogue came out, or the mini catalogue came out, I was really pleased that I purchased it. And a couple of weeks ago we had I suppose a crafting retreat where we had some ladies join us, and we had great fun. We made 4 cards, and one of the cards was using this particular die set, and it was really good fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think the ladies did as well. But I wanted to show that there are other things that you could do with this card set this week, in the hope that it wasn't just showing you it was a one card wonder. It is actually lots of things you can do. Of course, if you ever get yourself a stamp set and you just don't think to yourself, well, what am I going to do with this? You could always go to Pinterest. There are lots of demonstrators, whether they are from America or Europe or here in England, and they will show you or give you ideas of what else you can do with your stamp set. So that is another option should you wish to. Okay, do I need to add a few more? Let me have a think. 2, 3, 4. I had 5 on the other one. Do you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to take this one. It's actually quite big, and then I'm going to find my scissors and I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to hold it, and I'm just going to, oops, she says cut it in half. There we go. And of course, by cutting it in half, I haven't destroyed the glue. It's still going to be quite easy to lift, and maybe add a bit of chocolate there, and a bit more chocolate on here. So if you ever wanted to join in a retreat, we actually have another one coming up on the 22nd of June, and that will, we will use 4 different stamp sets from the new catalogue. So it's a chance to get your hands on some stamp sets, have a go at using them and see what you find, and also create different cards that maybe you hadn't thought about. Again, I'm going to cut this one. if you would like to hear more, do drop me a note in the comments below. Obviously that is for England and in the Brackley, Northampton, Bicester, Oxfordshire vicinity, if you are this way. Okay, don't think I'm going to add any more. Now obviously these pieces you could either throw or just keep to the side and use them. So I could keep them in an envelope, which I have. I'm just going to pop them in my envelope and then I will use those later on in the week. Okay, so we have used or done our donuts. What I want to do now is I want to make a layer with the Poppy Parade. So I'm going to cut it down, and I only want it to be 1/8 of an inch wider on all sides than the actual box of donuts. So that measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So we actually want 3. So there's 3 1/4, and then I'm going to move it 1/8. Normally I would up the measurements by 1/4 of an increments rather than 1/8. That was 4 1/2, and then I'm going to go up 1/8, so that makes it 5/8. Yeah, and that gives me the measurement for my donut box, like so. Now what I'm going to do this time, I'm actually going to glue this one flat on here and then raise up the hole rather than what I did with the other ones. So let's just make sure I haven't made that too. Should be right. Just seems a bit bigger. Yeah, I suppose it is a hair's breadth, but we're happy with that, so we'll stick it with that way. So I'm just going to add my glue, and I'm only going to add my glue in this square rather than on the edges, because obviously you've got the perforated edges going around here, and I don't want the glue sticking through. So I'll lay that on top of there. Okay, so there's my donuts. Oh, that was wonky. Let's put that back into. There we go. A bit more. Come on. There we go. So the only thing I need to do now, stay still. I do love the multi-purpose glue because it gives you a bit of wiggle room, but sometimes it gives you too much wiggle room. Okay, so I've now got my 1/2 inch sentiment, and I'm going to take the stamp Happy Birthday out. There we go. Find myself a long block. Okay, the one I've got at the moment at hand is a very long block. There we go. Now this is 1/2 inch by 3 inches. So I'm going to cut it to 4. And then if I need to, we can cut it down a bit further, because I haven't quite worked out how it's going to look. So the next thing to do is I'm bringing in my pecan pie again. Stamp up my Happy Birthday, which is lovely. And then I'm going to stamp my Happy Birthday on the middle of that, or as middle as possible, and down. There we go. Perfect. Now I can stick it going through there, like so, or I can cut it down. I think I'm going to cut it down just a touch. I prefer it that way, so let's do that. I'm just going to cut 1/8 of an inch off both ends and see if that works, and obviously if it doesn't, we can cut it down a bit further. There we go. Lovely. Get rid of those pieces we don't need. Put that to the side for a second. Okay, let's have a look. I think we can do that. That for me works quite well. Yep, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise that up on dimensionals. So I can put that aside and bring in my dimensionals wherever I've put them. There they are. And I've got the bones of the dimensionals, so I'm going to cut those a bit smaller. Okay, and then they can run sideways down the centre of my sentiment. And then the next one. Okay. And then we can pick these up, just taking off the backings. When I marked these ones up, I didn't quite go as far up with the pen as I normally do, but I've got them all, so that's fine. So that's going to go there, there. Let's make sure that's a little straight. That's better. Okay, so this now can be layered onto our designer series paper, which we will cut down. And I'm going to cut this down to 3.5 by 5 1/4. Am I? Yes, I am. 3.5 by 5 1/4. So 3.5 by 5 1/4. And then that can sit on there, like so. I wonder if that is a bit too... I actually think that's too small, so I'm going to grab my paper and... oh, you can see my hoard now. I have so much of this wonderful paper. It's very naughty, isn't it? But I use it and then I just don't want to let it go. That is the problem. Is there anybody else out there like me? Look at that, I didn't have any of that left, so let's use that bit instead. And we're going to cut it to 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So that's 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. There we go. And then I can stick my, that's better, onto there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise it up. Again, I'm going to use the dimensionals. I'll just cut these down so that we can have one in each corner. There we go. And that's rubbish. I can throw that away. But I'm thinking I might need to put a bit in the middle there. So I'm just going to grab my bling box, not my bling box, my dimensional box, and then I can just put one of those out and pop it in the middle. I can pick the tops off in the middle. There we go. And then that goes over. And then we can pop that in the centre. And then that can be layered up onto our piece of early espresso. There we go. Right, let's fold that in half. We go aside. And we can burnish with our bone folder. Let's bring that in. And then that can be glued down onto the card base like so. Let me just double check that is the right size. 8 inches by 5. No, it's a hair's breadth more. Did think it was. Right, let's do 5 3/4 on here. So there's the 5 3/4. And you can slice that off. It's always worth double checking. My motto is measure twice, stick once, and then hopefully you won't make mistakes. So Look at that. That looks much better. Okay, so we can glue that down now with our multi-purpose. Just run that up and down like that. And that will fit beautifully onto there. So glad all you can see is the grid paper and not the rest of my desk, which looks like a bomb has hit it. Okay, there we have our inside layer. So I'm going to bring in my donut, stamp it onto the, oh, that was close. There. And then I can colour that in, and I think I'm going to colour it in with the Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to use my thick side and then just go round, but I'm not going to worry about putting any of the chocolate drops on it. This is a plain custard donut. Whee. Wonderful. Okay, so that now can go inside. I'm going to use my stamp and seal. Come on. There we go. And then one down the bottom. Touch that. And then that can go in the middle there. Perfect. So, I hope you liked that card. It's a little bit of fun. Come back tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, Wednesday, and we will have another card to go for the stamp set of the week, the Ice Cream Swirl. So whatever you do for the rest of the day, stay safe, take care, and happy crafting. Bye.